no, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Seriously.
Now again, we can absolutely even, you see those plyo boxes that we have, so we can be lasering her, especially with an FX. We can position this in so many different unique periods. And this is just an absolute game changer. So, yeah, it is. She goes, wow, this is interesting. Your patients say that same thing, but A, it's interesting, but B, there is a major premise to why we're doing this and a significant amplified results from a clinical standpoint of what we're doing. And you can kind of stair step. Now Maureen, stay there. And there's little integrative things that you can do for real life purposes. Okay, so you did see downstairs, where we would have a certain amount of weights. And real life is you pick stuff up and you carry it. Okay, so you could literally have her do a very reasonable weight and just hold it while she does that. That's very real life. You want the body to integrate and recruit in proper planes of motion together. One thing that we can do simply too is I want you, because she doesn't have to hold on to this, but the neat thing about people that are weaker or older, or they're just biologically older to say the least, when you do touch this, it is the same rhythm coming through your whole feet. It's the exact same rhythm going into your body from another plane. So even your people that rely on this to balance, this vibrates as well as the platform does, but they're vibrating exactly the same. And as we do want people who are incapable of sitting, now remember at the beginning of this seminar, one gal is like, my goal is to get off the toilet when I'm 90. Well, this is independent of activities of daily living. And if you can't do this well at 20, you're not going to be able to do it well at 30. It's going to be worse at 40. It's going to be a lot worse at 50. You're going to start having a lot more problems in gravity, and you'll lose your independence of activities of daily living if you can't do simple controlled things like this. But this helps so much with underlying chiropractic neurological functional injuries to help heal them. But there's even a bigger premise from that. And we can just kind of keep changing the intensity based upon who's in our office. You may not do some of this with everybody, but everything we're doing is super simple. Now we can even make this a little harder. We're going to recruit more muscles. So I want you to do this. Keep those shoulders back. Sure. Okay. So just first, yeah, great. So first, just feel those muscles activate, because you can have so much afferentation going in the body, they can't feel what this is doing. It's like, I need you just to gently pull those shoulders back and pull this thing apart, okay? And once she feels that, have a seat. Can combine those things, pull out. Yep. There you go. Try to break those bands now that you're used to it. Nice job, Maureen. Good. Keep going. And you see how now this makes it more complicated. She's got to kind of hitch and thrust herself. There'll come a time where she doesn't do that. She can just plop, and she doesn't need that momentum to come up. And that's how patients realize it, and you're making them much functionally stronger. Very practical. Nothing wrong with videoing her right now, and she doesn't look as graceful. And now that we've incorporated her hands in this, she's recruiting so many muscles, and she's not used to it, so it's more labor, and it's harder. Not to mention, we're firing hundreds of little posture muscles in her body. We're integrating those things, and just the circulation benefits have health benefits. Just the vibration creates that osteoblastic activity that you hear research papers talk about, increasing bone density. It's important for a lot of aged people. Okay, but it goes way, way beyond that. You start looking into the neurological afferentation, you start looking at integrating the body, integrating, you get huge points for those things.
I was going to say, add the Captain's a Crush next.
That's it. Yeah, so here's the thing, they can stay in one station and you can do so many things. You don't need a great big space. There are so many practical things that you can do just from a very, very simple activity. And so even just that rubber band activity, doing this with head weighting, like you put a head weight on somebody doing these simple things, it's fantastic. That lever, and you incorporate so many more deep postural reflexes in the body. There is, if you carryover when we see what she's doing just with body weight. That's your chiropractic posture neurology that you're firing with these things. It's just amplified so greatly when we're using vibration in this way.
So over time, would that forward push to get off the chair start to end as like the posture itself improves and your balance?
I'll say how did you describe it?
Like when you kind of have to lean forward
Yeah.
with it.
Okay, that will correct before your posture corrects.
Okay.
So that's the neat part, but then your posture every chiropractic adjustment will work better. Everything of how we're trying to re-educate people. But yeah, function's important, and remember, muscle cells regenerate much faster than nerve cells, much faster than connective tissue cells, and that's why function is so important, and that's why I don't practice this way, but that's why when you look at PubMed studies and they look at grip strength and gait speed, that's muscle activity, and you can be overweight, you can smoke, you can drink, you can have all these other factors against you, and you still outlive weak people according to PubMed statistically. Now we're not going to practice that way, okay? But that's the importance of mechanical afferentation, and this is just how we help the adjustment work better.
You can say we were just using the slant board in the bob before, that would help the squatting, could it not? Keep back on the heel?
Yeah, because if they're really inflexible, they're going to have different techniques, and that's why it's all connected.
Yeah.
So some people, if their feet are so inflexible, they're also going to have odd squat technique, but that's why it's just step by step, and that's why we want to use chairs, and we could keep raising this up to where their technique is not so bad. And we have people that they easily do this, and they have 3 balance pads that they sit on. I mean, they're literally only squatting maybe just that much, and that's fine, and then it's cool, because all of a sudden it's like, oh, now you're down to 2 balance pads. Oh, now you're down to 1 balance pad. Now you're down to 0 balance pads. Now also we have people that had a lot of problems, and now they're doing free body weight squats below parallel, not using any pads. And that's the ultimate goal, is to get people to do their body weight gracefully above the standard of strength and range of motion. Now we're doing some good outside stuff here. You can have a seat, Maureen, and take that band off your knees. Now it's easy to work glute medius and glute minimus, whether you're on the chiropractic table and you're doing the fire hydrants or the sideline clams, or you move even into the vibration platform, or if you don't have a vibration platform, you can still do everything we're doing, just not with vibration, of course. So let me get these off. Now again, you could always use these spacers, but just for rattling and other purposes. Now remember how important we said the posterior chain is. All right, so it's limitless what you can do on these things. Generally, we use a little different section here. But a lot of people, as we're going to general, they'll need to hold on to this. Okay, so that's what's fantastic about this. And you're going to have a lot of people that just stand on this, and we would want them to just even, just this alone is a big deal. And your seniors who are very low function already, and just even have them just stand on one foot, hopefully they could start doing this. So these are some real basic chiropractic things on your patients that are not exercisers. They have a lot of neuromusculoskeletal pain. They sure the heck can't get off the floor by themselves or get on the floor by themselves. This thing is still amazing on all the things you can do. Just having people stand on it, start implementing simple things like you saw here to incorporate muscles for that pelvic strengthening. Have people just stand on one leg on this thing. Step ups on this. Oh my gosh, for surgical recovery anywhere on the lower body, ankle sprains, knee pain. This seems so incredibly simple, but it is so incredibly effective by just doing, and you don't want to, so if this is my weak knee, I don't want to thrust off this one. Okay, so you want to have people to be deliberate and just find that weight on the heel, and that's the great part about this. You can gently lift yourself up, but even people who they're going to be so weak they cannot lift themselves up with this leg, so you come up here and then you gently let yourself down. So you'll be able to train them doing the negative part of the movement, it's called. And I mean, it is so different, and I didn't realize how different it was until sadly, this last year I ruptured a quad completely off my bone, and so even though I had a very fast recovery, when you know, the big boost from the laser. So immediately, I didn't know what happened, but so I started lasering myself 15 minutes after it happened. And because I knew I was going to need surgery, I didn't know what happened, but I was like, ooh, that was not good, you know. So then with 20 minutes, then everything started rolling up and I had a giant hole in my leg. I'm like, oh, holy crap, I tore the quad off my bone, you know. So we were prepared with that. And so my recovery just from laser and just being passive, you know, we did the pre-laser treatment because it's hands down, pre-laser to surgery is night and day than immediate post-laser surgery. So we started that, started doing, you know, certain little things, but around that 4 or 5 weeks, I could be much more aggressive. At like 4 weeks, I was where they hoped I would be in 6 months. And then after that, when I first started doing this, like I could walk around, I never had pain, and you know, it was restricted, but when I started doing this, I was so weak. And this felt so good. This is like if you were so dehydrated, you haven't had water, and you finally have that perfect glass of cola, you're like, oh my gosh. Like the muscles to get them to fire with this, rather than even just passive laser that helped me a ton, and the nutrition helped me a ton. Like when I was able to start my rehab on this, I was like, holy cow. Like I would have never believed how effective or how good this felt unless that happened to me. So, you know, when I can kind of put myself in those placements. So even with Maureen and her asymmetry in her pelvis, those are all important things. And so just for fun, whether you move the chair, these are one of your most basic chiropractic things you're going to do on people. So people who are really deficient, they just come in here. You want them to start doing some body weight squats and they can hold on. And the beauty of it is they're getting even more vibration synergy and they're holding this as well as the front. And it's only one wave going through the whole body, synergizing, synergizing, synergizing. Have people stand on one leg. Have people push out against a rubber band. Have people start doing step ups. And just to get them used to it, you know, they can just thrust themselves up.
It doesn't matter.
Nah, we'll do them both, but you can switch and do the other side. Just so she can kind of familiarize herself. Seems really weenie. It is really weenie. But people who are weak, they're going to get a lot out of this. Now, from the start, when you get up here, now I want you to focus weight largely on the middle of your foot and your heel. Nothing on your toes, right? But flat feet, flat feet, flat feet, heavy feet. And I want you slowly to lower yourself down. Okay, yeah. And then when you find that, only lift yourself up with that top foot. Yeah, don't push off on the bottom at all. And then just gently, gently, gently slow down. Lift yourself up if you can. Okay, switch sides. You can do this barefoot, you know. Don't let your feet be
Exfoliating. Circulation through there. Oh yeah.
We just looked it up because.
yeah, so it's harder, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had one.
Well, it is, and people can too, but it is. So in her case, because again, I don't have, this is why the body maps up, so teach, so is your spring safe, it's on the left. Yeah, so that makes sense, but hey, even if it's on the right, it's just, you fix what you find. But this is, so this side is much weaker. Look how much more unstable her balance is. I mean, this is all toes to nose, you know, how it's affecting her. And as effective as this is, first we don't cloud her, we help her find her gravity, her weight bearing, but hands down, doing this with vibration is a totally additional animal. Go do your bad side. Now that being said, whatever your philosophy is and what you found, steps. Yeah, there you go. Make sure yeah, and her body's even more challenged just from the application because there's so many muscles that we're trying to get to fire and they're not firing. And they're not synergized with the body at all. And this again, faster degeneration in the body, slower healing, and this is such an epic, epic change to that chiropractic neurology, chiropractic physiology, everything we know about pelvic alignment, stability, activation through the body. Hands down, foot lasers in a stand. a brain person and you're thinking how you're integrating the body, absolutely, you know. And whether the person's doing it or your staff is doing it, whether you're doing the Dan Murphy almost basic 60 seconds each load to give everything a shot, or you've identified a very specific weak link in the brain. This is something, again, that from a clinical exercise standpoint, this thing runs all the time, and we just have a very simple protocol that we only walk through with our patients twice at most, and then they just do it on their own. Okay, and we just gently write out a little progression of what we want, and then they come in, and whether I adjust them first and they do this, or I'm a little behind, they do this first and then I adjust them. And it's just super slick, easy, but the effectiveness of helping balance and correct these things logarithmically improves. And they know it too, because this is great showmanship. And we've been video people based upon their technique and what they do. And, you know, we re-show them in 2 weeks or 4 weeks their progress, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look how much better I'm doing, you know, and how much deeper they can squat and all the above, each of those things. The posterior chain is really important. We showed some of you how, you know, hip thrusters are the best glute max exercise that's out there. We showed you a modified version on the table face down, but even people who can't get on the floor, obviously you're gonna have a lot of patients that aren't gonna do hip thrusters. But the chiropractic table version, it's all right. Doing it on a vibe plate is pretty darn effective too, even for, again, people who are injured enough they can't drive themselves to the office. And so however you want to stand, it's going to be easiest for that person. It could be here, I'll just do this, and you just extend. And just this contraction alone, you know, keep that knee locked. It's a hamstring totally if you bend it a little bit, but we want to hit that glute. You know, we don't want to lean into it, cup stick. We just stand up so you really just punch it in the glute. You gotta make that thing work, you know. And you do it. You just that tension, hold it for a bit. And this is a fantastic starter exercise at least. And even if you are super in shape, you're still going to be getting that glute to fire a tremendous amount, that posterior chain. And how we're trying to work, as I call it, all sides of the beer can. Now, as we're looking at that pelvic bowl strength, we do want good technique, and it's knees out, knees out. Adductors have some very unique benefits to inside the pelvic bowl, not the muscles outside the pelvic bowl. It is a little more complicated. It's not as easy as working the externals, but come on here, Maureen. And we don't want like a real arched foot collapse when we do this. Yet, where's that balance? And you know, I'm constantly looking for bigger Nerf toys and things for people to squeeze their knees with, and different balls, inflatable balls. So anyway, we're gonna hold that between your knees. Put your heels together closer. So you're gonna be a little bow-legged for me first, okay? Put that behind you. All right. Nice posture, stand up, and just gently squeeze. Okay. Again, stand up even a little bit more. Try to not bend your knees and just
so like the whole lower extremity go in as opposed to
yeah,
just the knee?
just the knees to go in, but what we're trying to do is feel those muscles inside your pelvic bowl. You're for sure gonna feel it around the
lower ab.
yeah, so you're really doing good. When we can get it in that lower ab, not just the adductors, and some of it is just how people lean forward. They're probably gonna need to lean back a little bit more, because they're gonna wanna cheat, compensate, do all sorts of things, but just squeezing those knees together, something soft. Nerf hoop things are great, so before we put the vibration in there, so they can feel where it's being activated, because otherwise they're not going to feel it.
Would you start off?
And again, this is absolutely, we do a lot of this. Back pain is the #1 musculoskeletal problem in the world. People are so weak in these frontal plane and pelvic bowl sections. And your most complicated people, you know, do all the decompression work and all the unique things that chiropractic benefits from, but this is a major activation amplifier to anything you do. Now, even with this, she can still bring in, and she can integrate the body. Good job, we'll make it slightly easier. There you go, touch the clavicle. Big breath in and hold it. Good. Big breath in, chest out, good posture. Head back, chest back. There you go. Good. Take a little break for me. Now, doing things in different widths, some things may feel better to different people. So so even hold that between
I
your
got it.
knees. Yep, so her feet will be out a little bit more. You're definitely using different muscles. We just don't want her, when she squeezes her knees, that it's really bad Q angles and like she's on the internal arches. You just do the best you can. So that's why you kind of start a little bow-legged. Your feet will be closer than the width of your knees when you put whatever you're putting behind there. And then just that gentle squeeze on there.
There you go.
When you
It's
put-
almost like cramping the right hip, but it's not.
Yeah, because it's not activating. So that's exactly it. Some of you downstairs were cramping yesterday. It's like that's that lack of integration, lack of coordination between the muscles. It could be a nutritional deficiency leading to cramping. However, half the time, you can fix these things due to the neurological organization as well, especially if you're just doing that good general nutrition all the time anyway. So, can you put your feet together a little closer, even though yeah, I like that better. You may not even be using this as also. Okay, so once again, how we're recruiting in that pelvic bowl, I want you to hold on to this, and I want you to squeeze your knees, and I want you to squat. Come on up nice and slow, just like that, not fast, just slow, slow, slow down, slow, slow, slow up, so always in control. A lot of appropriate activation, activation, activation. She does have an anatomical short leg. We could complicate this one step by again putting that shift on the one side while she's doing it. Again, to help people not multiplex too much all the time. You can do that. Not gonna hurt anybody not doing it, but it is kind of that one next step level that you can do as well. These things, we pretty much do what you're seeing on every single patient, whether they have low back pain or even if they don't have a sprained sacrum. These are foundations, these are things of all our athletes that have no problems and they're going for national titles and world titles. This is all just part of their warm-up, just to integrate things. Integrate, integrate, integrate.
With the bigger vibration plate, can you put people at both ends?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, so you can be time savers and absolutely, so that's one of the other advantages to some of the bigger ones. All right, thanks, Maureen.
Thank you.
All right, so it gives you kind of an idea. It gets pretty